Today's episode is more of a love letter because after recording this video, someone I loved passed away. My grandmother, Abuelita Emma, left to be with the ancestors. She was born on a warm June day in 1930 in Dorado, Puerto Rico, a place that now feels like a postcard for the rich gringos who live there, people who would now never welcome a black Puerto Rican woman from the barrio. Abuela's life held every note of heartbreak and resilience. There was a time when poverty forced her to give up her own child. Later, she married an older man who could offer stability in a world that rarely offers any grace to women, even today. And then, just when she had her grandchildren, she had to say goodbye to them. To me. I became part of the great Puerto Rican diaspora, the migration. My family was displaced by colonial policies that still shape the island today. And by the time I began to understand our history and the quiet violence of assimilation, our time together had already slipped away. We managed a handful of summers, and I could still speak Spanish with her, but I was always half translated, straddling the space between cultures. It wasn't until I returned to Puerto Rico to sit beside her in those final days that I truly felt the weight and the gift of our connection. I will never forget her last smile. She was weak, unable to rise on her own, but she found the strength to look at me, to hold my hand, and to offer a joy that felt like an entire lifetime compressed into a single glance. Sometimes I look at my own hands and I still see hers. I still feel hers in mine in that final moment. Because for that moment and for her life and for the legacy that she leaves in me, I am endlessly grateful. This episode is for her, for all of our abuelas, for the memories that we carry, and the homeland that carries us. Abuelita, abuelita, lo logré. A pesar de este maldito coloniaje americano, regresé. Y en tu brazo pude ver lo que realmente ya sabía. Que soy tu nieta, soy boricua, y que nadie me va a sacar de aquí. In today's episode, we're joined by Emanuel Chamorro, a Puerto Rican photographer and documentary filmmaker from Ponce. Emanuel is currently working on a short documentary about Pedro Albizu Campos, a project that continues his dedication to documenting the realities and resilience of colonized people. In this conversation, he reflects on the ways that history, art, and community intersect, and shares his hope of one day returning to the land where he feels most spiritually connected. Beyond Puerto Rico, his work also carries a commitment to global solidarity, including support for the Palestinian community. Stay tuned as we explore his journey, his creative process, and the stories that move him.
Sale, don corre contento con su cargamento para la ciudad, ay, para la ciudad.
Yeah. Can I ask you questions as well?
Sí, claro.
So, what was your journey like? Because I know you started out in the United States. What was it like coming back to Puerto Rico? What brought you back?
Okay, that's a long story. I think for me, I'm one of three girls, and my parents, they grew up in barrio, so they did not. I don't know how my dad found the money, but we would come in the summers, and I would go to Tua Baja, el barrio Ingenio de Tua Baja, and then in Ponce también, Coto Laurel. That's where my family, the area that my family's in.
Oh, nice.
Y pues, nada, I came, but it was like, I felt a disconnect. Like, I felt like I belonged. But when I was a little kid, I was just like, what is all this? And how come I'm in between like these two worlds, right? And over there, I felt that pressure to assimilate all the time.
Yeah.
And I knew something was wrong. So yo lo sentía. And as a kid, I was just like trying to process that. And then as I grew older, I started to realize like, no, I need to like learn a little bit more. And then Maria hit. And Maria was like my big wake-up call that I don't know Puerto Rican history. I don't know why it's a territory. Now I realize it's a colony. Now I realize that there's all this history of resistance. And I think over time, especially with Maria, it was like this sense of like, I felt inside myself like I want to be close to my grandma, que todavía está viva. She lives in Tua Baja. She's 94, 95. And I thought to myself, I don't want to waste more years over there thinking I'll somehow figure it out. So I made the decision. I said, I'm going to come back. I promised my mom. I found my way back. And now it's a matter of like, also with the podcast, I felt like I wanted to like learn. And over that learning and meeting people here and building community, I said, okay, it's time. And I think the filmmaking side too, where like people would ask me, like that's a whole other conversation too, which I would rather switch it back to you and ask you like, what caused you to leave? I'm actually more curious, like how did you leave? And I want to hear about your filmmaking journey too.
Yeah, so my journey was a lot, it was a lot of moving around, you know. I was born in Ponce, me crié aquí up until about 2001, where in 2001 we moved to Florida where we had family. And our reason for always moving was single mom with, at that point, 2 kids. And just going to whoever could help because she couldn't do it all by herself. And at that point it took us to Florida. But we did have a scare over there where someone ended up breaking in, a group of people actually, and one person got shot in there. But at that point we made our way out the window through the back. So enough of a scare there that my mom decided to move us to New Jersey, West New York, New Jersey. And that was 2001.
Oh my God.
Around September, 9/11 happened. Right across the river, and that's, as a 4-year-old, my first memories, are those two, along with, playing with kids in that area. But traumatic events at such an early time, does something to you.
Of course.
Pero in 2001, we moved back to Puerto Rico because my mom was like, I don't want to be anywhere else but over here, because we still had a lot of family over here. So that brought us back to Ponce, and we also lived some time in Naguabo. And that was finally up until 2007, which I could say was basically the time we moved permanently out of Puerto Rico. We did come back 2013 for about 6-7 months, and that was like 9th or 10th grade. So that was the last time I was here. And something happened from 2013 to 2022 que yo estaba apagado. Like,
what does that mean? What did you feel?
I never came back to Puerto Rico, and at that point it was like my late teenage years into my early adulthood that I try to look back on, and I'm like, why did I never come back? Why didn't I,
That's so interesting, because I feel like a lot of people get sucked into that moment of just like you're just hustling, and also feel like there is a sense of like people think there's an American dream. It's like, no, you're just hustling to survive. And especially when you come from backgrounds like us, people don't talk about the classism part. I'm like, sí, yo conozco de puertorriqueños que fueron para allá, ¿sabes? Con los chavos de papi, they went to college and they came back and everything's great. Now they have a house in Puerto Rico. But some of us don't have that luxury. And so I think when you say like, I felt apagado, it probably felt because maybe you were stuck in that, like trying to work and trying to figure out, just figure out your life. You're in your teens, so you're trying to figure out who you are.
That's what I feel ended up happening. And then like, I made a lot of friends over there, and like, I didn't have much of a connection to a place because of how many times I moved.
Exactly.
And even in Puerto Rico, I moved here to Ponce, but also Naguabo. And I was almost used to like leaving people every 2-3 years, that it was like, I'm putting a time limit on our, relationship, whoever it is. And when I moved permanently to the U.S., it was like I have what I wanted, I guess, which was like closeness to people. And like I said, estaba yo apagado. I was just out in the U.S. living life like a teenager would, trying
to figure things out.
Get ahead.
Yeah.
And then 2017, after Hurricane Maria ended up happening, I remember wanting to come back and like just make sure my family was okay, make sure the area was okay. I have always had that like want to help and then like feeling helpless. And when that ended up happening, I had a spark in me, but it was very small that not much ended up happening after.
Okay.
And it wasn't till 2022. COVID happened. Everyone was just inside, not doing anything. 2022 that I finally came back to Puerto Rico after 9 years. And I kid you not, I cried when I landed. I cried when I left.
Yeah.
Like I had such a moment of like, why did I never come back? And we were here, I think, 6-7 days, just fully turisteando. We went everywhere that I was never able to as a kid. So we stayed in San Juan, we went to Fajardo, we went to...
I had the same experience. It's like when you're little, viene a visitar la familia, that's it. No,
that's
nothing
usually...
else. And then all these touristy things, right, that you would think it's like belongs to the people. It does belong to the people. It's like we end up kind of getting shut out of that. I feel like also just because tourism in general, it's like it keeps it to like the outsiders, pero nada que bueno, like you got a chance to kind of like see other parts of Puerto Rico that you never enjoyed before.
Yeah, we went way too many places. It was tiring, but it was great.
Yeah.
At home you don't get tired. But what ended up changing for me is that we went back to our grandparents' house, and I remember it very clearly. It was a blue wooden house, half on land, half on pillars.
Sí.
We're driving up the mountain, and I'm trying to find the house, and we drive past the area, and I'm like, isn't it right here?
Sí.
And the house wasn't there anymore. It was fully overtaken by grass, by the mountains, and the only reason I was able to tell is because the only place that was cement was the bathroom, and I was like, oh, this was our house.
This is where the house was.
And we didn't know it was gone.
Wow.
So I was there with my sister, and it was a very emotional moment. We had our childhood there, and the house was gone.
Gotcha.
And then I ended up going back to Ponce as well, not just grandparents' house, and it was very, very different, not what I was used to seeing, and like that lit the fire like to 100%.
Yeah.
After I came back, I'm like, I'm coming back at least once every year. And that was true up until 2024, where in 2024, I was like, I want to make a short video essay about La Historia de Ponce. And La Historia de Ponce is Don Pedro.
Yeah.
And I was going to talk about the Ponce massacre, how that ties into Don Pedro, because people usually don't put both of those stories together. Ponce massacre is its own thing.
Right. And why is it that they don't put it together? Because they are related. Can you tell us how they're related, and then?
Yeah. So in and I could have the years wrong here.
That's okay.
It happened in 1937.
Sí.
But the lead up was that Don Pedro was incarcerated for leading what ended up happening between Elias Beauchamp and los nacionalistas de ese tiempo.
Yeah, Riggs getting shot literally right up the street here. Sí.
He was incarcerated, and in 1937, la ciudad de Ponce, they were going to celebrate, creo que se llama Domingo de Ramos, as well as the end of slavery.
Right. Right. That slavery was abolished, and so they were
slavery
doing a
was
celebration.
abolished, so they were celebrating it, and it was also a protest against Don Pedro being incarcerated.
Incarcerated, right? Because they blamed him, even though Hiram and Elias were the ones who went after Francis Riggs. They thought he was behind it, basically.
Yeah, he was.
So they
he was basically leading the movement.
Yeah.
So they did this. It's because he's talking.
Right. They didn't have any evidence, but they went ahead and arrested him. And so this was like a protest to that, but a peaceful protest, because nobody had any.
And it was going to be a short march.
Yeah.
And the cops there, they were just scared.
Right.
They were afraid that a gun was going to show up somewhere because of the propaganda of these people are terrorists. It's all that was shared. You see, the New York Times article today still says talks about them as terrorists, and this was a clash between, you know,
But
Ponce
it really
and
was not a clash. It really was peaceful protesters just
Yeah.
marching peacefully through the plaza, ¿verdad? La plaza de Ponce.
Yeah. It started where in la Junta de los Nacionalistas, which is el Museo de los Nacionalistas now in Ponce, and it was going to be right into the plaza, which is a short trip.
Yeah.
And the first shot was by the police, and the reason we know that is because there was a photographer just nearby. He took a picture, and la pólvora se ve que salió del policía.
Wow.
That helped in understanding how it ended up being a massacre. Without that photo, we would have allowed the U.S. to spin the story, because what we end up seeing is that they're starting to pose for photos, acting like there's a sniper up top, and it's the most posed image. You know,
Yeah.
they're just looking up, not in a stance to be in fight.
Not in action. It was literally a pose.
Yeah, and with one of our own dead on the ground.
Sí,
you know.
horrible. It's a terrifying picture. It's just like seeing
Yeah.
how they dehumanize, like that image is ingrained in my head too, because I remember thinking like they completely, like you said, they spin this narrative for people in order to look like the good guys. Pero
Yeah, and
it's
so
wild.
the story I was trying to make was going to be 5 minutes, and it was going to be quick facts, you know, because
Yeah.
nowadays you kind of have to do that for TikTok. And
right.
I'm trying
You were
to
just trying to
reach-
do an essay of your own personal
and I'm
research.
trying to reach like a younger audience, and younger audiences need stuff quick and,
Yeah,
and bite
exactly.
sizes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
What I ended up doing
Yeah.
was reaching out to Melina Aguilar.
Okay.
She is from Isla Caribe Tours in Ponce.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Because I had a trip that I was coming here in November
Okay,
of
good.
last year just to visit family in Ponce. And I was like, oh, it'll be nice to have someone that also knows of the history and can
Yes.
speak to it perfectly. And we did it in El Parque de Pedro Albizu Campos, which is in Tenerías, where he
okay.
was born.
What?
So it was a 1 hour or so interview.
Yeah.
And it was mostly about Ponce and what happened there. And then what really broke through into making this a documentary was she was like, oh, I know Ernesto Dávila Marín, he's in Jayuya, and he has the museum Nuestros Mártires.
Oh, so she said you gotta come back and make an actual long
Yeah.
form. Ay, qué
And
bueno que she encouraged that.
She actually said, go there tomorrow.
Sí.
And I was like, of course I'll go there tomorrow.
Qué bueno.
And so I go there and I meet Ernesto Dávila, and
Wow.
he talks to me about what it was like in 1950 as a kid in Jayuya.
And tell the people watching, who is Ernesto?
He's related to Heriberto Marín,
Okay.
who Heriberto Marín is one of the nationalists of October 30th, 1950. He helped raise the flag in Jayuya along with Blanca Canales and declare a free Puerto Rico.
Wow.
So
That's
in
powerful.
his museum, there was lots of memorabilia of that time. And after I finished that interview with him, he's like, vete para Viejo San Juan, puedes hablar con Heriberto. On the same day, I'm like, of course I'll go to Viejo San Juan.
Qué bueno.
So from Ponce, it was like
You
1
just
hour and a
said,
half into
"Vamos,
Jayuya.
vamos." Qué bueno.
And then from Jayuya, I'm going to Viejo San Juan. And when I came here, it was actually Heriberto's birthday, and he
Okay.
was out celebrating. He turned 97.
Wow.
So I couldn't meet him in the moment,
Okay.
but I ended up coming back.
And having
2 weeks
conversation.
later.
Oh.
That was a 3-hour conversation. It was
Okay.
amazing.
Okay.
That conversation like changed so much like about who I am even like today.
And why? And
Like-
I'm sure this could take 3 hours, but tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about what that felt like.
There was like in my mind so much of what I knew about Puerto Rico and what happened unfortunately was fed to me from, you know, the propaganda of the time. And if you Google something, well, the first things that are going to show up, the New York Times, this and that. And I was trying to think up a name to the documentary, and I was thinking Albizu, Orden y Revolución, Order and Revolution. But after I met with Kobe and Heriberto, sorry, the way he spoke about like the events and everything he did and how he knew Pedro, like there was just so much love to him that I was like, everything was turning off. I'm like, I'm just listening to what's being fed to me of these times. And hearing a first account like that, like really changed my perspective in so much. that I was like, this isn't even a documentary about order and things of that nature. So I wanted to call it Love and Revolution.
Wow.
And
so powerful.
it really helped me reprogram my mind into like, listen to what's being told to you and who's the one saying it.
Yeah.
Before
exactly.
you totally agree with what is being said.
Yeah.
Nitpick the words.
That's,
you know, like what happens in Palestine. Why are some people found dead? Why are others killed?
Yeah.
You know.
So like the history is just not what they say it is. I mean, the perfect example right now is like, let's look at Gaza, right? All of the things that they're saying about Gaza are not true in media. But then when you see the firsthand, right? Like you've been seeing this, it's been going on for like 2 years, and now we're seeing like the reflection of people who are actually there.
Yeah, I think this has really woken up so much people to understanding how media portrays things and the first person account of things. For example, you know, the people that have been on the ground with us, Bisan, Blestia, Hind, as journalists, and so many that we've lost at this point, 200 plus, we see what they say, we see the facts on the ground immediately, and then 5-10 minutes later, we'll see how the media portrayed it. And we're here yelling at our screens like that's literally not what happened.
What is happening,
they weren't
right?
just found dead. You know, name who dropped that bomb on the cafe that killed 22 people. So it's been a insane job that they've done for the past decades of propaganda, making sure that people don't question what's happening over there. I grew up, you know, religioso aquí, and you hear, you know, bless Israel, God will bless you. And that was the extent of what I knew when I was younger.
It's wild. But that's why exactly I feel like people don't realize how related Puerto Rico's struggle is to the Palestine struggle. Like they don't see how it's the same thing. They're doing the same thing about the history, the news, everything. The headlines don't match the reality, you know? And the way that they exploit, like all of that is hidden under this idea that we're progressing or that like we're better off because of it. When really they're sucking the soul out of, you know, and we're seeing that in so many ways here.
Yeah, and I think I believe you had the conversation with Libre.
With Libre, sí,
where they talk about how the Zionist movement wants to do the same with Palestinians as the U.S. does with us. The U.S. for some reason has gotten away with calling us, you know, their citizens and this is a territory, and they got away with colonialism. And the Zionist movement is looking for ways to be able to get away with it as well. So they're at a different stage than what we're at, which is very unfortunate. But there's so many similarities that they're so intertwined that even in this documentary that Libre is in it.
So I actually was going to ask you, how did Libre end up in the documentary?
So I don't exactly remember how I found Libre. It was on Instagram.
Okay.
But I ended up saying, una boricua en Gaza. And Libre loves to start their videos with the same. And I love that because Bisan does the exact same thing from the beginning. This is day this, I'm still alive. And I ended up looking through Libre's account, and I see that they were in Guanica for an event, memorial or something, and they were dressed as nacionalista.
Oh, wow.
And so I just reached out. I'm like, hey, I'm doing a documentary on Pedro Albizu, and I believe there's many similarities in between what happens in Puerto Rico and what happened before with Gaza right now. Would you be interested? And Libre was immediately, I will do it. Don't worry about it. And I said, well, here's the general vibe. I sent the videos of Heriberto, and like... Right,
so Libre, they had to basically like search for the crew and figure out how to get it shot because of the sort of like situation. You wouldn't be able to go there, so you sent him like examples of the interview, and then they were supposed to go.
Correct.
Find everyone. Okay.
So what I ended up actually doing first was asking like, do you want to get on a Zoom call? And I would record on my side, you would record on your side.
Yeah.
And that would have become a little too difficult. Libre suggested, oh, I have a friend. She said she's down to work on this.
Okay.
So within the next, I believe, month or two, we were trying to get that planned out. But, you know, in Gaza, it's a hard time to work
Yeah.
But they finally had a chance to shoot, and so I sent over the questions. They shot it in the port of Gaza, and they wore a shirt that I love. It said "Defend Boriquén," and on the back it says "Mi patria no se vende" with a kufia. And what was interesting about that was that Libre sends me the credits of who helped them shoot, and the person interviewing was Bisan, and
That's wild.
another assistant. Their name is Dahmen Ayad, and I didn't realize this whole time it was Bisan. The whole time I think Libre was. They're probably being purposeful about it to be funny or something. But the whole time was saying, "Oh yeah, I have a friend. She's gonna do this. She's gonna do that. Don't worry." So Bisan conducted the interview, shot it as well, and I told them that I was going to present the trailer in Ponce, and Bisan was very excited about that.
Yeah.
Libre also teaches Bisan about Puerto Rican history. So I presented it and I sent it over to them just as they could see, their work being displayed in front of people as well.
Yeah. How was that reaction to the documentary in Ponce when you showed it?
I told you about one moment that changed who I am as a person, and it was talk to Don Heriberto.
Sí.
The second one was literally 2 weeks ago when I was in Ponce showing the documentary to, it could have been around 300 people.
Okay.
So I am a very shy, quiet person. I don't speak in front of people. I get scared. I run away from that stuff. Sorry to whoever I've worked with that. But I'll even maybe try to find an excuse. I couldn't make it because I just get this fear in me of speaking.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah.
In that moment, the whole day, I'm waiting for that to kick in, and it never did. There was a switch in me of I understand how important this is.
Yeah.
And to me, because I've had this huge homecoming story for myself.
I see.
That I want to move here. I want to live here. I want to die here. And in that moment, it was just so easy to walk up and talk about something that so many people are involved in, because it's not even about me anymore. I did want to start this as a simple video essay, but so many people have said, "Here, take my story, run with it."
That's beautiful.
And Albisu's family as well. They're in the documentary, and Rosa teared up watching it. She said, "No one has wanted to show the love that he had for Puerto Rico the way you're showing it." And I teared up with her. I was like, the people that need to like this, like it already. I don't care about anyone else's opinion.
Claro.
So
yeah.
I did still pick up the microphone and I was shaky, but I didn't feel the need to run away from that moment anymore. And
so
even
glad.
today doing this interview with you, I'm like, I would have been horrified of doing this maybe 3 weeks ago.
Sí.
But it all just feels way more natural to me now.
It's definitely because that purpose, that feeling of purpose you have, and that through listening to these stories, because a similar thing happened to me with the podcast, because I felt like the minute I started hearing these stories, it's everything else kind of melted away, and I wanted to just focus in on what ways I could help, how I can amplify the stories, how I can share the stories so that people are aware, because even to this day I get comments on some of my posts and people don't realize. They get either they're confused or they're, the colonialism kicks in and the brainwashing, and they're like, that's not true. It's y yo creo que ese show que, needs to happen more often and kick people out of their comfort so that they can really see what's happening and see, and keep creating the movement, porque what you're doing is part of something larger.
We need to stop looking at each other and pointing fingers at each other and start pointing them up at who's above us controlling it all.
Gracias.
Even, you call it pastelillo, empanadilla.
No, pero esa me encanta. I love that.
Empanadilla.
Empanadilla.
Ponce, empanadilla.
Exacto. No, pero nada. But tell me a little bit about how, you've come to terms in terms of the, coming back, the coming home, the who we really are, your identity. And can I ask you about sort of what you're doing? You mentioned there was a family in Gaza as well that you're working to help.
This happened randomly where I saw a TikTok of a boy in Gaza. He likes to draw anime, and it was very sweet. She's an influencer. She posted about him and it was like, "Oh, this kid would love if you just say something nice about his art. I know that he would like it." So I shared it, reposted, put it on my Instagram. I followed him. And surely enough, he gained 4,000 followers. His name is Muhammad. And he was very excited. He was like, "Oh, hello, everyone!" out of nowhere.
This is
Hope
strange,
you like
but
my
art.
art.
Yeah.
And maybe a week later, he said that he needs help with a fundraiser.
Okay.
Somebody in the U.S. and my girlfriend at the time, I asked her, I was like, "Would this be a good idea to like start or help him with this fundraiser?" And she was like, "Well, if you feel like you can and want to, go ahead." I was like, "Yeah, it's lending a bank account to let the money go in there."
Okay.
So we started that process, and it happens kind of naturally where you're in touch with someone all the time, you get close.
Yeah.
And so I've been talking to them for the year and a half now, and they're basically family. It's a family of 7, and they are from the north of Gaza in Beit Lahia, and they've been moved around so much, unfortunately.
And quick question about that. What in the north of Gaza? What is so for this family being in the north of Gaza? Are they near a lot of the strikes, or are they far away from it? What can you tell us a little bit about their situation, if it's safe to?
Nobody is safe.
Nobody is safe. Yeah.
Every area is, unfortunately, if their house isn't gone, their neighbor's is. Luckily, their house up until 2 months ago was mostly intact.
Okay.
They're in Beit Lahia, which is a farmer's area.
Same.
It's a little more empty than the rest of Gaza.
Ah, okay.
So there's more space, I guess you could say. But when this started, the invasion happened further up north. They had to go to Rafah, and then they had to move to Gaza City, and then they had the opportunity during a ceasefire to go back home. And Zayn, he's a 19-year-old. There's a contrast between the two brothers. Zayn, he is the person that talks about Palestine and the struggle and the situation, and we talk back and forth about similarities in Puerto Rico and all that, and I love my conversations with him. And then Muhammad is a great contrast. We're talking about Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh, okay. He's the younger one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Zayn is like the protector of the family, basically. He's the one that goes out to get the aid. He helps the family move from one spot to another. And he's risked his life so much, and he's seen death right in front of him. He's been shot at by quadcopters. Just 3 days ago, I had a conversation with him. He said that he tried going to one of these aid locations, and it's not even the GHF, which the U.S. put in place, because they're in Sheikh Radwan, which is farther up north. And he said a man right in front of him got shot on his head, and he turned around, couldn't get aid. And he finally said, "I can't keep going to get aid. I might die." And that's the current situation right now that they're experiencing. And their dad has an issue with his bone marrow, and he's losing weight very rapidly, along with the forced starvation. And I feel the need to amplify real stories like that, because so many times we look at a 60,000 number, and then we scroll to the next page.
Exactly.
We scroll to the next post. We don't know the real stories of these people. You know, that's one family out of 2.3 million people that are all the exact same. Zayn he's learning Adobe Premiere just like I was learning it. I told him, "Hey, if you want to work with me, you know, we'll work together." I think it's very important to, when we talk about Palestine, when we talk about the struggle, that there's more than just struggle. There's culture, there's food, there's family, there's all of it, just like we experience over here. And I just think that that's something that should always be talked about, you know. And maybe not everyone will always have that great opportunity to get to know someone like that. But always talk about the people, the stories, and humanize them.
Yes. Well, I'm so glad that we had this conversation. I know we could talk for many more hours, but I'm glad that we were able to talk through, especially with Gaza and the work that you're doing, and I'll be sharing that with everybody. But is there anything else I've missed, or anything else you want to talk about that, you know, just as a some final words?
I don't like Ponce, Ponce y lo demás es parking.
That's a good start. Okay. That could take you an hour.
Yo soy de Ponce, and I've never liked it. But I may have liked, sorry, I liked it when I was younger. The pride of it all. I hate it now.
¿Por qué ha cambiado tanto? Like, there's so...
No, I'm calling this parking. Like, you're going to see all the B-roll, you know. I just feel like that's so wrong.
That's funny.
It's another dividing term.
Right.
I was thinking about it earlier, and this thing came to my mind. We don't have to add that if not.
No. Pero es verdad.
Yeah, I don't have...
No, and if you could share with people, like, where can they find your work and, like, where to follow you so that we can continue to see what you put out.
Mostly on Instagram, you could find me at Boricang. Misspelled, though. It's Borikhen. The H is silent. They took the regular Boricang. So I'm posting a lot about the documentary there, but the documentary has its own page. It's Albizu, Albizu, and then doc, like documentary, DOC. You'll be able to see it there, updates. Every time I'm out here, I post about who I'm interviewing and stuff. Also, if you're a videographer, photographer, anyone looking at this, esto es puro bolsillo productions, así que ayuden. I could take any help.
Me encanta. Gracias, Emanuel. Yeah. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Of course.
One last thing. I have a present for you.
Hey! The Borican podcast.
Yep, all for you. I'm going to be making more things too. Me encanta hacer designs as well. So,
me encanta.
So yeah, that's for you. Thank you so much.
Si me ven en la calle por ahí con esto, ya saben. Dripeado de Borican podcast.
Gracias, Emanuel.
Gracias.